Do you ever just sit in your car outside your place without the radio on or anything, just not wanting to go inside yet? If so, why and what are you thinking about? I'm too tired to go inside. I've definitely gotten home and laid my head back on the headrest and fallen asleep. There's a perfectly good bed just right inside that door, but nope. Yup, I work in a call center. I've learned to appreciate silence. The beep in your ear that causes you to respond with your bull's greeting. I'm right there with you. Sometimes I just enjoy the cool summer air while sitting in my car at night. Oh, and rain. I have left the house to sit in the car during a storm. I'm caregiver to my elderly mother. My home situation stresses me out a lot. Sometimes I get home from work and sit in my car and think about how trapped I am. Sometimes I think about nothing and just savor a few minutes of not needing to appear professional or patient. I'm literally doing that right now. The car is still warm. I'm way too exhausted and I have a bunch of stuff I need to take in from the car. I cry at work that I want to go home all day. But as soon as I get home, I procrastinate going inside lol. Mustering the strength to load up all the stuff and trying to take it all in one trip. That's the hardest part of the day, right there. When I park my car, I shut my brain off and just sit in silence. I don't think, I just exist. Sometimes quiet is violent. I sometimes sit outside my house listening to music to have some time alone from social interaction. Other times I'm just thinking about what it would be like to wake up and be a fish. What it would be like to wake up and be a fish. It's pretty wild, not gonna lie. I do this at least 2-3 times a week when I get home from work. I'm a kindergarten teacher and at the end of the day I'm dead tired and often emotionally drained. I'm often thinking of the students in my class who come from very difficult, sad home lives. I worry about them getting home safely. I think about how they won't be greeted with a hug and asked what they learned today. I wonder if they'll go to bed hungry. And even though I'm exhausted, I wish I was still with them at school to make sure they feel safe, happy, and loved. I just need that time to decompress sometimes before I'm ready to flick the switch and go back to my home life. Having grown up as one of those kids, we notice and you make a difference. Thank you. I try not to think at all. It's the only part of the day where I have zero responsibility or accountability. Wherever I just left and the place I'm about to be will have people asking something from me. But for right now, in my minivan, no one is asking me anything. No one needs a file, a drink, an answer, a signature, a snack, a walk, a story, a source, an envelope, a follow-up, a shoe tied, a dish washed, a kind word, a nod of acknowledgement, a helping hand, a BJ, or my frequent shopper's card. Just a few minutes is all I need to handle all of that. That moment for me is when I'm going to sleep. It's late enough to where everyone else is tired or asleep and they don't expect anything from me and just leave me alone. Staring into space and feeling defeated is what I do. I don't need to be in a car to do it. This is my existence for the most part. I don't want to do this at all. I keep telling myself it's worth it. School, work, feeling like I have so little time to do what I want. But god dang if I don't sit there sometimes thinking how badly I don't want to do this. I am dead tired, depressed, all of the above, but I have to go because school is worth it. Samazes, I've been in my driveway for 20 minutes. I'm alone when I go in and will do the same thing I do every night, so what's the rush? This is my daily routine. I get to work 15 minutes early to just sit in my truck and psyche myself up. And worse yet, I'm the boss. If the boss isn't amped to be there, the staff isn't going to be. Not anymore, but when my mom was in the last stages of Alzheimer's, yes, I would listen to the radio and try to tell myself that it was going to be okay, that eventually she would let go and so would I and there would be peace. I would look out the windows at the stars and moon and remind myself there was an entire world beyond my pain and her pain. Then I'd plan out what I could do that would brighten both our days just a little bit and I'd go inside. Sometimes I'd scold myself for not having been patient enough or not gotten her into the doctor soon enough or whatever other thing I chose to beat myself up over. Because I was supposed to be Superwoman and save the world. And I couldn't even save my own mother. Now that she's gone I don't do this. Because I don't have to. She's at peace and so am I and that's the best it's ever going to be. You did what you could. Hopefully honorably enough that you are grateful for the time you had and the effort you spent. Just remember that we're here for you. Everyone has been through good times and bad time, but we all have to admire ourselves for the greatness we bring upon people whether we want to or not. Keep on being excellent. Yep. How I'm exhausted and I know that the moment I go inside, I'm going to be bombarded by my kid screaming running wild and I'm going to get an earful about his behavior from my parents. Being a single parent is hard. Being a single parent of a kid with behavioral issues is even harder. Oh man, I give you so much credit and you deserve the extra breather before you head in. Every time I come home by myself, I've recently given up drinking and have been trying to cut back on tobacco. I have a wonderful life, I can't wait to live it. It's just a step outside my car door. But all I've been able to linger on is how awful I have been to all those who love me and all the wonderful things in my life. And I can't shake the feeling that I've deserved any of it. I'm excited to go into a dog, so excited just to see me, to be able to talk with my girlfriend, to walk around my property and be excited about getting the garden and corn in, to let the ducks in the pond, all the eggs the chickens are about to give, and to go visit the piglets once we get them. But it hurts because I've been such an awful person and I hope changing what I hate about myself is enough to deserve it all again. A bad person does not have your feelings. Rock on. Just dissociate for as long as possible. Turns out you can do that 24/7 too. Lately I try and stay in my car for 5 or so minutes before going in to see my girlfriend because I need a moment to make sure we don't take my work stress anger inside with me, as best as possible anyway. She doesn't deserve to have my balls get her down too. That's really sweet. Sometimes when I dock my ship in port, all of the sailors get out, the medical staff, the gunners, and I just sit there in the cabin looking over the harbor and view the city from a distance. Thought this was all innuendos for a bit. I love my wife and kids, but work is tough and I just want some quiet. Also, my wife hasn't really touched me in 3 years due to major postpartum depression and difficulties from birth of our second kid, so it's like going into a house with 2 kids and a hormonal, stressed teenager. How the frick did I become so depressed? It's scary how it creeps up on you. Then you get stuck in the depression because it's unclear, if any, why you feel so low. I do because I wanna finish my spicy chicken sandwich before my 4 kids take it from me. I'm thinking about, will my kids ask me why is there bread in my beard? Knowing that while I'm at work I'm distracted by my co-workers and meaningless tasks and bulls brought on by others. As soon as I step into my place, because it's not my home, I will remember that I moved to a different state, leaving my friends and family for a job that had left me completely alone. No real friends nearby, and with not a lot to do. As soon as I got inside I'm alone once again and the emptiness inside of me grows bigger. Sleep is better than being inside alone. I hope you'll be able to make new friends. It's definitely not easy, though, but I understand that loneliness. Definitely, anyone with young kids probably does. If I'm not ready to face them yet, I'll sit outside for a few minutes. If I've had a crappy day and I'm in a bad mood, I'll sometimes take a few minutes to decompress so I don't bring it in with me. That's a smart timeout. I just want some time to myself before I have to face any expectations. I'm a widow for the past 2 years now. I'm 27 years old and I have 2 kids. I can't even complain that I'm not managing and that financially I'm not doing okay. By the end of the month I come out on top with bills and a little extra, etc. My kids are doing great and life is good. But now and then, before entering the house, the kids will get off the car and run inside and I'll just sit in the driver's seat and look at my house. The house I lived in with my hubby for years, and the thought of going inside and knowing he's not there to greet me, not there to tease and playfully trouble me, not there to give me a simple hug and peck on the cheek, that pain is crushing. It sucks the breath out of me and I can barely breathe properly. My heart actually pains with remorse. I give myself a few mins, and then I wipe the tears and hold my head high, get out of the car and enter the house with a smile on my face. It's a loop. I admire your strength. My favorite song came on just as I pulled in, and I'm not going to let my radio win that battle. I've had these thoughts many days. I come home from work and pull into the garage. I turn the volume down on the stereo and close the garage door. I leave the car running and just think about my life for a few minutes. The worse my day was, the longer I sit there. Some days, I question how much longer it would have been before I passed out. Not saying you're a danger to yourself, but if you need help please reach out. My aunt who raised me died from this very thing. I wish she would have reached out rather than keeping it all in even when I asked her. I miss her every day and I'm sure someone would miss you too. I'm just a stranger online but if you need to talk I am always down to listen. Get well. Honestly, that there were years where I could have up and moved wherever. No limits to what I did, etc. And now I have to plan my day around a trip to the store because of 2 toddlers. I could wake up late daily if I didn't have to work. Now I'm woken up multiple times each night. I used to read a novel every few days, and now I haven't finished anything besides a children's book in over a year. I was popular in school. Now I literally have one kind of friend. I love my kids, I love my family, but dang I miss myself. This is why I don't want kids. Frick all that. No offense. I do this when it's raining. I just love watching the windshield slowly get covered with water. Then, maybe a quick wiper swipe, then watching it fill back up again. It's so cozy. That when I go inside, I will be utterly alone in an empty house. An empty car is smaller and feels much less overwhelming. Well said. Same here. Tired, depressed, don't want to deal with the psycho downstairs neighbor. It gives me a chance to actually be alone and just vent to nothing about everything. I'll never admit to anyone I know but sometimes I'll just cry in my car for 20 or so before snapping out of it. This is usually late at night and I'll just stay in there for some hours. It's the same story as you sitting on your bed in just a towel staring at a wall for 30+ minutes because you just lost your train of thought. You just kinda sit there, and that's it. Yo, my mom does this all the time, especially during summer nights. A lot of the time my sister and I join her and listen to Summer Breeze by Seal and Croft and some other songs that my fam really likes. For us it's just about the aesthetic, living in the moment, breathing the fresh air, being with family. It's the small things ya know. That's pretty beautiful. I just want something in my life to be positive and make sense. Am I asking too much? No, it's an inherent need that all humans have, but unfortunately in a world full of anxiety, anger and stress, we seek meaning which isn't forthcoming. Welcome to the pitfalls of life. Hang in there, we are all pretending we know what's happening but we're just as lost. In order of frequency. 1. I'm thinking about how freaking tired I am and usually contemplating sleeping in the car. I never do, but I always fantasize about it. 2. I'm thinking about how great it is to be sitting in silence. 3. I'm thinking about how awesome it is to get to not be asked to do something for 5 freaking minutes. 4. I'm thinking about how I solely control the temperature, AMD ambience and reveling in it. I do this but it's usually depression induced or anxiety induced. I'll want to go inside but just get trapped in my car outside my house for up to an hour or so sometimes. Yes, me too. Sometimes for hours I just sit in silence. I lose so much time that way. I usually just sit there and think about how fortunate I am. I usually joke about wanting to die and whatnot, but in the last year I went from no job to the best job I've ever had. I went from a dark place to content. I love to just think about that. To those who are in dark place, just relax and think about what you haven't lost instead of what you have lost. I sometimes work graveyard and as I pull into my driveway I will sleep for about 30 minutes while my car stays hot inside. Then hurry inside, put on my PJs and jump in my cold bed. Ugh, a cold bed when it's cold outside is the worst. Every now and then, If I had a long day, I'll gather my thoughts before going in to play with the kid and dogs, make dinner, and other daily household stuff. It's sometimes nice to have some quiet before the storm. I either just got off work and don't want to go deal with my home life yet, frick that, or I'm going into a place and I'm trying to convince myself to actually get out of the warm capsule I've created in the car. After working out, I go Monday and Wednesday to my women's boot camp exercise class. If the light in my son's bedroom is on, I will drive past the house. I will go to Burger King and get a small chocolate milkshake and a medium onion ring with zesty sauce. I then park in front of my friend co-worker's house. She lives 3 houses from us, and listen to my jams and snack on my food. Sometimes I wave at my friend and her husband, who are child free. Why? Because I know that if he isn't asleep by 8:30, it's going down in there. They are battling. It's war. Someone has had an poopy accident. Someone refused to eat or listen, or got slime stuck in the dog's hair. On my workout days, that crap is none of my business. I'm in my good place. I deal with it 5 days a week, and on workout days, I rest, do some burpees, and drink the occasionally chocolate milkshake while singing My Milkshake Brings All the Boys to the Yard and laugh. I got to live some days. Felt this one in my bones. I'm lonely and sad lately. I usually sit in my car for a few minutes once I arrive home, just to let it sink in that I'm back home to nothing and nobody. After talking to people at work and distracting myself, staying busy, I come home to a very quiet, empty, lonely dark apartment, and the depression and anxiety sets in. I'm not really happy with my life, and when you have no reason for it, it sucks. Yeah, I used to do that all the time. Then I got a divorce. How nice, warm, and toasty it is, and how I might secretly be a reptile. Man, at points in my life I just sat there thinking, dang, this is really my life. Crap sucks. You've been spotted by the curious cow. Comment below and let him know what you're doing. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.